Okay, hello, it's Jessica. I'm back on a live chat. I've been trying to stick to my plan of being live on Saturday, and this one was hard because it is 4th of July weekend. But we're going to talk about in this video. It's just going to be a conversation. Hello, MLW Fishing. Welcome. Thanks for being here. You're in here early too. So, this is just something that popped up on LinkedIn recently. There's a ton of news articles that are career related or business related, economy, I guess, related articles that LinkedIn will push out on the daily. Whatever's trending, really. So, this one was trending. A lot of companies are still trying to figure out what they want to do with employees. And so, with that, they're really thinking about, whether remote work is best, whether we need to just bring everyone back on site in the office. Like I know Elon Musk had stated for Tesla, he wanted folks to be all back in office. And then what's more common for a lot of companies is to just do this form of hybrid work. So you're merging work from home and you're merging in office. So you want people to be in a given week, maybe they come into the office once a week, twice a week, whatever. So you're giving a little bit of flexibility to the people that have just worked for almost 2 years remotely, and a lot of us still working remotely. As you know, I work remotely. So that's more the balance that some companies have. And hello, cool gamer. Hi, Laura. Welcome. How's your Saturday going, by the way? Let me know when you come in. But this article came out, and I'm going to put up the banner, just this overlay, so you can see it, and then I'll link the article. It's the Yelp CEO, which honestly, I have to say, let me know if you use Yelp. I'm not really a user of Yelp, but I do have a friend that uses Yelp religiously before she goes to any restaurants or tries anything. I used to be that way too. And now I just use Google. But the Yelp CEO, hybrid is the worst. This is the headline. And so it says the CEO of popular restaurant recommendation app, Yelp, thinks hybrid work policies are the hell of half measures in an interview with the Washington Post. Now, side note, the article with the Washington Post, if you don't read it regularly, you will probably be able to see the article. I'll link that. However, since I've clicked on that on the Washington Post enough, they're telling me I have to pay, and I just don't want to. So the article is there. I'll link it. Jeremy Stoppelman says that with only 1% of his 4,000 plus employees going to the office every day, Yelp has decided to shut its offices in New York, Chicago, and Washington, D.C., and focus more on eventually going fully remote. Hybrid offices are the worst of both worlds, according to Stoppelman. And nothing goes to show that a company cannot create a fun culture just because its employees are fully remote. Wow, right? What a statement. So he's basically saying, in other words, that's stupid. That's what he's saying. However, a lot of companies have decided to switch to a hybrid model. Now, I'm sure companies are going to try different things out. If hybrid isn't working, some companies may switch back to remote 100% and just downsize their office spaces. Other companies may say, okay, this hybrid thing isn't working. We want you back in the office. I feel like if it continues to be more people that are demanding flexible work, more companies will probably lean more towards the remote work. So I wanted to bear this question to you. Do you think he's right? Do you think it's silly for companies to say, hey, employees, we want you to be in the office some of the time and working from home some of the time? Does it make sense? And then we're going to get into some benefits of remote work and the benefits of working in office and see if you agree. One of the articles I did not look at, and it's the article it has a list of reasons why it's beneficial for employees to work in the office. Now, you all know I've worked in HR, I've dealt with employee issues, and there's a lot of issues that actually, from my standpoint, happen with, obviously, when people are together in person, there are issues that may happen. You have women, you have men, you have different age groups, you have people of different personalities, and although that's all great, diversity is really important to spark innovation, to help us continue make sure that we're obviously representing what the world looks like and bringing solutions to that world. It's hard for people sometimes to work together, right? So that's why workplaces have to pay people to handle people. So we'll talk about that and see if I agree and see if you all agree with what one article at least says are the benefits of being in office. Laura says your day is going well. That's good to hear. Hey, Edward. Shout out to Edward. You know, Edward is in here loyally every time because he's my moderator and a member as well. So shout out to Edward. Laura, I appreciate you being here. I appreciate you joining my live chats. There is this dog outside going crazy right now. I don't know if my audio picks it up, but he's just going wild, or he or she, I don't know. But yeah, that dog is going wild out there. Hopefully you can't hear, but I can pick it up because my window is cracked. If they continue barking, I might have to close it. Edward is saying hello to everyone. Thank you. Hello, perfectly man-made. Hey, how are you? Laura says, I would not mind a hybrid work schedule. Appreciate that comment, Laura. So Laura says it can be lonely for those of us who are single, live alone, and after the shutdown, it's nice to be around others in small doses. I actually do agree with that. Now, I'll put out my thoughts about the Yelp CEO because I think for him to say that, I definitely can see there are some, pros and cons to both. And so the idea that hybrid model appeases to, whatever you need in a given scenario. I think that where he may be coming from is more on the financial front and more of the, okay, just pick one, right? Okay, are you going to do one or the other? Why are we merging the two? What is the point? And I think, Laura, your comment gets into the point that the reasoning why companies are trying to move into the hybrid model so that they can balance the benefits of both remote work and in office work. And so I don't 100% agree with the Yelp CEO, but I think it is a good question that he's asking, like, well, why are you doing it? I think if companies have a good reason on why, that it makes sense. But for companies that it doesn't really make sense for their employees to be in the office, for example, there are certain companies that don't really do a lot for employees when they're in the office. So you're literally going to the office to sit there, work at your computer, and do the same things you will be doing at home. So in that environment, it's like, what is the point unless you solely just need a different workspace? Because at home it's just crazy. But we know that productivity, a lot of reports show productivity tends to go up when people are working remotely. But you have to have the right environment for that type of work. Hi, Sharky. Welcome in. How are you doing? How's your Saturday going? How is your 4th of July weekend going? Edward says you can hear me. Okay, thank you. Is my audio off for some people? Let me know if it is. Hello, Spiky. Beware of dog. Oh, you can hear the dog. Okay, I think they're done with doing whatever they were doing. I don't even know why. Who knows why the dog was barking, but I'm in a popular area, so weekends tend to be more active sometimes if there's like events happening and things. So who knows, but there's someone walking their dog. Let's see. They were getting out whatever they were doing. Maybe they saw a squirrel. Who knows? Okay, so let's get into some of the benefits of why companies want people to work in the office. Like, I don't think every company is just like, oh my gosh, we just need to have our eyes on people. I do feel like that's a part of the reason, but I do feel like there's some other benefits. So let's look through this list. I'm going to share this link about the Yelp CEO first. So there's that one. So I'm not just making it up. I just like to show that. And then I want to share this link so you can explore it on your own if you have the time. I am also streaming from Twitch today. So you may see 2 links in here. The other one is for my Twitch channel that I actually am really bad about following. I'm like, hey, my folks on Twitch. Someone had came in here before from Twitch, and I was like sharing stuff, and they weren't able to see it, and I felt pretty bad because I don't think about Twitch a lot. Thank you, Edward. Yes, please do hit the like button. I appreciate that. Hitting the like button basically just shows that, hey, you're enjoying the conversation and you would like other people to enjoy the conversation. If you do not hit the like button, it basically says, no, we hate this and we don't want anyone else in here. Or you like it and you just don't want anyone else in here. Okay, so this one is the article. Hopefully you can see it. And I won't show this the full time, but I just want to kind of show what it's like, what it looks like. Why offices are more beneficial than you may think. So we're not going to read all of these like paragraphs in here, but I would like to just read the headline. So the first one is that offices improve employee well-being, and they're quoting some statistics there. I actually relate to this because of our conversation that we had prior. So do you all remember when we had that conversation about people feeling lonely when they're working remote, right? Now they're saying anxiousness and different things like that, working alone. It's not good for people to just be alone all the time. So I do feel like, to Laura's comment, if I can find it, shout out to Laura. This comment from Laura, which I think is great. Doesn't mind a hybrid work schedule. It can be lonely for those of us who are single, live alone, and after the shutdown, it's nice to be around others in small doses. I also like that you said small doses, because yes, you have the time where you're at home. You don't need to be around people, and then you have other times where you're in the office. My thing with the hybrid schedule, though, is I would like to have flexibility around the days that I am at home and the days that I'm in the office. And I would also want to make sure that there's like something going on in the office, like I'm actually meeting people. There's maybe an event that's happening in the office that's fun and driving the culture. That's what I would want to make sure is happening. So the next one, hello, Wellness with Frugal Mama. You might be able to give some insight into some of this too. Let me know what you think about the wellness of a person that is going into the office. Do you think it's better for them to be in the office, like from a health standpoint, or do you think it's better for them to be at home from a health standpoint? Okay, I'll bring this back up. So the other point in the article, so they say offices improve employee well-being, and so they're relating anxiousness and isolation, for example, especially for younger folks, right? They're not at home with children and a husband and all these different things. A lot of the time they're going to build their family at some point. Offices boost local economies. I definitely see this. I think this is why Biden was trying to push for companies to bring all of their people back into the office. The local places in the city, like if everyone's just at home around lunchtime, they don't have to go out and go downtown for lunch anymore, where they used to work, where all the businesses were. those businesses will be affected. You know, those restaurants. Sometimes people take their clothes to the cleaners. Well, they can do their laundry at home. Maybe they're opting to do that now because they don't have to dress up in a suit. um, Maybe you're thinking about just your generic like coffee shops, your smoothie shops, whatever is in that, area. So definitely a lot of restaurants would be affected, and any other businesses that benefit from having people in the office around lunchtime, after work, going somewhere after work just to let the traffic wind down before you go home, you're going to happy hour, whatever you're doing. Gyms that are, located really close to offices. Like the only reason you might go to this small gym might be because it's literally right by your office versus some of the bigger gyms like a Gold's Gym or Orange Theory or Equinox or all these ones. So that's definitely true for the overall economy. What do you think? Hey Buddha, welcome. How are you? I hope. Oh, thank you. Yes, it's a good start to the weekend. Smart Aviation is in here. Please definitely check out Smart Aviation and the creators that are in here. So they're saying offices optimize innovation and collaboration. Okay, so I know you guys, the print is really small, so I don't know if you can read it, but this is the one I don't fully agree with necessarily. I do feel like when you're in an office, you have more conversation with folks. It's easier for you to just go to someone's office and just say, hey, can I get your thoughts on something for 5 minutes, versus in the remote world, unless you're using Slack or you're using, different systems that people are comfortable with. Sometimes it can be difficult to like schedule time. Like if you're in an environment where you feel like you always have to schedule time with someone, via video call or something, that can be tough. Some people aren't wanting to get on video, which I actually have a friend whose manager does not really like video. And so how do you navigate that? But I don't feel like if a company has the right resources in place for employees to be innovative and collaborative, that really suffers. There's different companies that have popped up where they send boxes to your home where you can do activities with your team online. There's games that you can do online. There's a lot of things that can spark like brainstorming and different thinking. So it could affect it, but who's to say people in the office aren't afraid to speak up and share an innovative idea because of things like microaggressions, right? Or they just feel awkward, or someone's giving them a weird look as they're talking. Now they don't want to say anything else, right? So, different things that you pick up on office politics, all these little things, right? There's a mean girl in the office, and when she comes into the meeting room, you don't want to say anything. I've dealt with, yes, this employee issues, taking me back to my time as an HR business partner, and you deal with these issues. People literally controlling an office, and so it's making everyone else's life miserable. How do people be collaborative and innovative in that culture? So I really think it depends on the workspace. And most likely, if it is a workspace that is already like pretty much, it has a good culture, has a good culture of collaboration, openness, respect, I don't think much would really change with shifting to a remote work model. So that one I don't completely agree with. I think it really depends on the scenario because there are definitely people that become more collaborative, more creative, and more innovative being away from some of the distractions, microaggressions, and other things that people have to deal with, right? So it really depends. Let's see. I don't think anyone disagreed with me. What? If you disagree, let me know. What do you think about that? Do you think that, I'm going to bring it back up on the screen. Do you think that offices optimize innovation and collaboration? And they're saying collective innovation, productivity, and well-being, as well as spaces where employees can work and relax. Oh, I highlighted this for that reason. It says offices play a vital role in collaboration, creating an environment for collective innovation, productivity, and well-being, as well as spaces where employees can work and relax. I know that's the goal of a lot of workspaces, to be a place where you can find places where you can relax for like 10 minutes, 15 minutes, whatever. But I don't really feel like that is often the case. I feel like work is work, and then you get away from work by going off site, taking a walk or something, going off site to go to a restaurant. Most people need to get out of their office space to really relax. Even if you're not at your desk or at wherever you are that you're working, I feel like you still feel that, like, oh, I need to be working feel. Let me know if I'm the only one that feels that way. At least when I was in the office, I always felt like I had to get out of the building to really like relax. Let's see. And then offices keep work and home life separate. I agree with this point. Let me know if you agree. Do you think that offices keep work and home life separate? I think you have to be really organized. You have to have a specific workspace when you're at home, of course, and you have to mentally kind of know when to turn it on, turn it off when it comes to work. But at the same time, even being in the office, a lot of people would go home with work and still be working, or you're checking your email and your phone constantly, even though it's 8 o'clock. So maybe like the physical aspect of it, yes. And some people do feel responsible to the point where, oh my gosh, I'm saving so much time commuting, I could just continue working. Or, I work from home, I could just work tonight instead of doing this right now. So it does kind of blend work and home. It definitely does. But you can still get that in the office. So I'm about balance. I can see both ends of that, and it really just depends on the person. Like if you need that separation for work and home, definitely. But if you don't, and you feel like you can control, you like have a good handle on your schedule, and once it's like 6 o'clock, 5:30, 5 o'clock, 4:30, 4 o'clock, whatever your work schedule is, you turn it off, and it'll be there when you get back tomorrow, when you get back on Monday, whatever. Some people are like that. I feel like I'm pretty good at that, but there are still things I need to work on. Like I will go, oh, I need to look at these resumes. I can do that this evening and just watch Netflix in the background, right? I can work on these emails tonight in that way. But for me, it gives just a little bit more flexibility in my day schedule, and optimize the times when I am most alert, because not everyone is alert, even though we work these 9 to 5s. Some people are night owls and they like to work at night and they can crank stuff out at night. I'm actually I'm actually more that way. I can be a morning person. I force myself to be a morning person, but I'm at my core, if I just had my own business or something, I would likely be one of those people that would crank out a bunch of stuff at night. I use delayed email a ton for this reason. So I've used that for forever. I would do work at night, have it delay, go out like the next morning. So my team, especially when I was managing a group, I didn't want them to freak out and be like, oh, Jessica's sending us emails at night. Oh my gosh. Because someone did ask me about that. And I was like, oh my gosh, no. You do not have to respond to these emails. And so ever since then, I was like, okay, I'm just going to delay these messages. So that way people don't really know. Anyway, a little peek into my work thinking, but I've gotten a lot better with that. I don't do that as often anymore. I need to be in my office. I'll relax and chill after 5 p.m. Thank you. That's why I'm like, wait, a workplace where you work and relax? I'm like, that's working is working and relaxing is relaxing. I don't necessarily need to relax at work. Now, yes, you need to take breaks. You have to take breaks throughout your day. We're not robots. So yes, that is true. But like, come on. That's the goal. That's the dream of having this kind of space where it's just, kumbaya. But no, work can be stressful. It's just, it is what it is. Sharky says, I get why some companies do prepare in office. Training and team building are much harder remotely. Also, let's face it, some employees abuse work from home and get away with doing as little as possible. Here's the thing, I somewhat agree with that. I do feel like, because when I was training people, I like training in person. I think training and onboarding definitely is tougher remote, like doing everything remotely, right? I do agree with that. And this is also using my time as a trainer and also being a participant recently. Now, I trained during a time where it was before the, I don't know what we want to call it, the Corona. It was before that. Um, but I've participated in some trainings within the work of remote work. I don't know why I'm saying that weird, but they aren't as good. It just isn't, especially depending on what you're training and how long the training is. It's really quick hitters, which I think remote trainings are better for. I think it works. Like a quick e-training, great. You can grasp onto that, do the next one the next day or the next week, whatever. But for these long trainings, that needs to be redone, because companies are trying to stick to the same training models as we had before. People were all over the place and working remotely and globally and everything. No, it just doesn't work. It doesn't work. Especially unless you have breaks in between and some kind of sessions. Like, you have to build out ways to reach different styles of learning. So that's my thought on that. But I do agree. I think that is difficult. With the part about some employees abuse work from home. Well, yes, people in the office abuse just being able to work at a computer and not have their boss over their shoulder looking at them the whole time. I've seen plenty of people shopping, as they're working, quote unquote. They're going to take a couple of shopping breaks, a couple of Facebook breaks, a couple of whatever breaks, right? If they're going to be that type of person at home without getting their work done, they're likely going to be that way in the office too. I think everything boils down to responsibility. If they're going to be responsible and get their work done, they're going to get their work done. Either way. So I get that. I do get what you're saying, Sharky. I agree that there are some people that are like, for one, they're working 2 jobs at once. We saw that happening. We talked about that a little bit during another live. But there are people that are still working 2 jobs. And actually, we have time. I want to bring up the article because an employer is trying to sue someone for doing that. Employee gets sued for working 2 jobs. I need to dig into that. I may just come back with a video, but that was interesting. I have to find it. Okay, anyway, let me get to some other comments, and then we need to get through the list. Hi, Teddy. How are you? Shout out to Teddy, my other member. You're definitely right about that, Sharky. See, I kind of agree. I agree, but I don't agree. There are no breaks in the medical field, especially the oh my gosh, ER, no way. My mom works in the ER unit. Oh yeah, there's no breaks. There is no working and relaxing in the ER. No way. So yeah, that's right. You can train individuals remotely. You can. I do agree that it's not as good as an office. I do, especially with people. Mind you, a lot of the folks training people have been in their career for a while. They are more seasoned, and they may not be up on all the different tools that you can use to do breakout sessions and this and that, or even want to research it, right? Or even want to learn it. It's enough that they learn the video chats, video conferencing, all of that. That's enough. We're using Slack. That's enough. So that's a part of the problem likely too with the generation that is doing the training. Likely they may not know that there are tools that can make things a little more seamless with training, but we're, a lot of us are shifting there, right? A lot of people are. Hello, Vernell. Hey, everybody. So, Jessica, are you a recruiter now from home instead of working in the field? Or you both? Yeah, I'm a recruiter. I work from home. Yeah, I've been working from home since 2019, though. Let's see. Hey, Pow Pow, welcome. How are things where you are in Italy? I hope things are well. Laura says, depends on the industry. If a call center, people follow suit whether it's enough. Thank you, Laura, for sharing that. Thank you for sharing that. Can you imagine, though, someone just like, I hope they're not talking to people. But I can see in between calls, they're like doing other things. I could totally get that. I misread that statement. I said you can't train you can't train remotely. I think you can, but it is a challenge. I mean, because we've been doing it, right? People have been training folks remotely, and we've been doing it even before, cough cough has been happening. So yeah, I mean, you can, but it's not as effective as in person, where you can really use different sessions, breakout groups, and really make sure that trainings are actually being taught efficiently and people are actually holding on to what you're teaching and able to practice some things too. Okay, so the next one on here is offices keep work and home life separate. Oh, we talked about that. And then offices influence company culture. I think that's stupid, actually. I think that's stupid. I'm going to tell you why. It says offices influence company culture. Offices influence company culture. I'm going to read this one. Culture impacts a person's well-being at work and ensure they are more engaged and passionate about their role. What employees experience day to day in the office has a huge influence on the company's reputation and how it attracts and retains talent. Without a physical space, it's harder to implement activities and practices that create a strong company culture. Here's the thing. The reason I disagree with that, just that is based, is that I don't think offices actually create company culture. It's the people that create a company culture. You can have a beautiful, decked out workspace. It's beautiful. There's like spaces for games. There's, cafe, free food. Is I don't know, all kinds of activities going around, like whatever. But if you have, we talked about this in my toxic work environment. If you have bad leadership, bad people basically that are running the company, if you have bad people working for the company, you have bad managers, you just have overall bad people that they don't want to be there at work, or they don't care about the other people that work there. They are just coming there for a check. We talked about quietly quitting. Everyone's just quietly quitting, whatever, this job, I'm just getting my check. You're not going to have a good workplace. You're just not. It's not going to be a good company culture. The people are what make up the culture. So whether they are in an office or whether they are working remotely, you're transacting with people either way. As we saw, we've been doing this we did this for 2 years almost during the panorama. The words I have to say because YouTube. But we know this. We didn't just shut down and there was no culture within companies because the offices were not filled up with people. The people build the culture. They drive the business. This is the entire reason that recruiting in HR is seen as really important, because if you don't have good people, the company's not going to thrive. If I go to get a service and the person that gives me the service is rude, I'm not going to go back to them, right? The service is bad. I'm not going to go back to them. Multiple people doing that kills the company, right? Anyway, that's just my take on it. Let me know if you agree with that point. You may not agree. I know that's, a lot of people do think, I think that's an old way of thinking that the actual building the office really builds the culture. Now, yes, it's great to have a place where everyone can get together, but the people are driving it, right? If everyone's just like, meh, sitting down, there's a company event, and you have all kinds of, collaborative activities. If everyone says, oh, I don't really want to do this, I'm not really going to contribute, I don't really want to say too much, I'm not going to smile at people, I'm just going to sit here. You're forcing me to do this thing. It's not going to be a good experience. Let me see. Oh, I got you, Edward. I got you. It's really hot. Oh, it's nighttime there. I'm on the balcony. Oh my. In Italy. Oh yeah, in Europe it's doesn't it get pretty warm more in August? Like, yeah, I guess July. It's almost August. So hang in there, Pow Pow. Hi, Carter Eats. Hello, welcome in, Carter Eats. If you're into food, if you're a foodie, you definitely should check out Carter Eats. You're at the pool? Oh my gosh, nice. Yeah, it's been kind of hot. Okay, do you do some contracting with multiple companies or just within one company? And what is your specialty if you have a specialty? So Vernell, my specialties are tech and content. I would say marketing and PR. That's where I got my start. But that's not necessarily where I want to stay focused on necessarily, but tech and content. So when I say tech, I just mean, anything from developers to cybersecurity specialists to database. I worked with a really large company called Nestle, and I worked with their IT teams to grow their talent. So I would say there for one. And then the next one will be content, because that's what I've been really recruiting in the past few years. So content. And when I say content, I mean those are producing content. Your video producers, your managers of partnerships and talent, casting, really anything that's created in the digital world. That's really where I've been focused. Question. I may talk about that in another video to go more in depth. Let's see. Hi, Amy. Hey, it has been a while, Amy. I hope you've been well. Hope you're doing great. Hope you're having a great weekend. Definitely hit the like button, you all. Thank you, Edward, for the reminder. Carter E said, I just experienced a great training remotely. Thanks, Carter E. See, it depends, though. I would want to hear about your training, because what I think when people are saying training can't be done remotely, it's because people are doing these long sessions. They're not giving breaks. They're not mixing up different ways to help people engage with each other. They're not doing breakout sections, which you can do remotely by using different video tools, like Zoom, for example. They're not incorporating games. They're not getting people to interact. They're not incentivizing the training at all. Incentivize the training if you want people to engage more. So yeah, they're not doing those type of things. But if they are doing that, those are basically some of the same things we do in person. The only thing that I think kind of suffers a bit is when you have to visually show something. Like I did a training, it was a computer training actually, just basics, and they were talking about different components of a computer, and so they were showing pieces, and so that would have been really great to see in person, but they just showed a photo instead, and you work the way you can work with. But it can happen. It's just that people aren't going above and beyond to really make trainings good virtually. Some are, some aren't. When you're training, I think one-on-one training trumps remote training. Hands-on with the trainers are better face-to-face when you first get on the job. I don't think I don't care what anyone says. Okay. 6 weeks. Wait, I don't know what you're saying. I missed something. Years ago, I watched my group manager fire a contractor and walk him out the door. She didn't even wait for security. He had been using our office phones to talk to his own tax prep business clients. Here we go. So that's someone in the office not doing their job, right? So it's the same thing. If you have a certain type of character, I suppose, or if you want to do, if you don't want to work, you want to do other things, you're likely going to do it in the office or at home. So I think that's all about trust. And if you feel like you can't trust someone that you're hiring, you shouldn't be hiring them. You should feel some level of trust. Like, yes, you're taking a chance. You don't 100% know. But during your interactions with them and asking them about their past experience and understanding how they work, you have multiple conversations with people. You should get a gauge on whether you should be able to trust them to perform their job, right? Just like if I were to become partners with someone to start a business, I would meet with them multiple times. I would want to understand how they work, how they think, how they execute things, etc., before I partner with them, right? But I love that example. Edward. Let me get through a few more comments and then we can see what else they have to say. What is the family doing now? Let me see. I hear you. Oh, okay. You guys are talking. Okay. Carter's Eat says, do the training remote, but it was exceptional, I think is what you're saying. Oh, good. Thank you. Thank you, Carter's Eat. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. I appreciate you. Let's see. Burnell says you have to be a great leader in order to have great employees. 100%. If you haven't seen my 3 signs that you're working in a toxic work environment, check it out because I get into that. I totally get into that. And I 100% agree. Hi, Leader's Journey. Hello. Hello and welcome. Laura says some in-person trainers. That's true. Some of them don't know how to do their job and only got it because of a friend. That's true. That's true for a lot of things. There are some bad trainers, or they're not. Trainers actually have to be trained too. They don't just get up and perform a training. So if they're very junior in their career, it may not be as great of a training, which, it's only fair. And their energy level. If they're a low energy type of trainer, it's going to be low energy. The training is just going to be low energy. You definitely have to hype yourself up and bring a lot of good energy when you're training people, especially for a long day. Onboarding. Oh my gosh, those are a day or multiple days. And so you have to have people with good energy. You have to have multiple people a part of the onboarding. Yeah, so definitely. Okay, let's get back into this and see what these other ones are. So the next one is offices keep work and home life. Oh, why do I keep looking at that one? It's because that highlight. Let me move down. Okay, so offices connect people. Okay. So they're saying the value of water cooler conversations in offices is well documented, as these in-between spaces provide locations for colleagues to exchange stories and talk about their experiences face-to-face. Okay, here's what I'm going to say. I worked at a media firm that fully is a digital media firm. And I joined during technically the panorama. And I met and formed some really good relationships with people. I still talk with a couple of them right now. Some of them have left. We're at different places. We're still in communication with each other. So forming a relationship with people is not dependent on being in an office. I have experienced that myself. I've worked in certain offices where, no, I'm not talking with you ever again. Like, we didn't form a bond for some reason, whatever the reason, or you just didn't seem like a good person to me. After I leave here, I'm not going to try to reconnect with you. And then other ones just kind of, fall at the wayside just because of people have lives. It's hard to stay in touch with people once you're an adult and you're adulting and doing things, right? But I just don't agree with that one. I don't. What do you all think? Do offices connect people? So we're saying office activities such as team building events where people see each other in person, interact as a group, boost team spirit, create a social buzz, and help turn professional relationships into personal ones. I think it can help you meet others outside of your actual team, like different events. But if the company is having remote style events or influencing people to reach out and connect with each other in different ways, you can still spark that, right? So it's just a different way of doing things. I think the problem that folks are having is that they've only ever known doing something this way. Maybe they're not using Facebook, like our, some of our more seasoned generations are boomers, right? Maybe they're just like Facebook and connecting online and connecting on YouTube and connecting on this and that. You can't form a relationship. Like, there's no way. Yes, in person is better. I do agree that in person is better, but you can definitely connect with people offline, online instead of in person. Let's see. Uh-oh, did I miss the example from Sharky? Sharky, you may have to put it in here again. I missed it. Okay, Jessica, you do a good job. What you do, keep it up. Oh, thank you, Renelle. I appreciate that. Laura says in some way it connects people. It just depends. I don't like clicks and I don't like having my job be dependent on me being likable. It's too much like high school. And I will say, Laura, I agree, because one thing about offices, you can clearly see the clicks that happen, and they form. Like, even though people say, "Oh, that's only high school," like clicks don't form in real life, they do. They do. So, yes, I agree with that comment. It's easier to see all the clicks and the politics that's happening in the office and different things when you're in the office, right? So, Edward, yeah, it was crazy, but a bit funny at the same time. Wait, what? Who became furious? I totally missed the whole entire conversation. So let's move to the next one. It says they're saying offices guarantee workplace standards. Now let's dig into this more. Workplaces need to maintain certain standards by law, from equipment and desk furniture to office temperature. Another benefit of having a physical office, which ties into company culture, is that it ensures everyone has equal working conditions. When people are working from home, this is not always the case, and you are generally expected to manage this yourself. A solution: provide the tools people need at home. If people have ergonomic chairs and devices and things, well, now they're comfortable, because technically, or standing desks, we're not supposed to be sitting for long periods of time. But in an office, you're definitely sitting for long periods of time, unless you're one of those individuals that were able to get a reasonable accommodation for a standing desk, or that the company's actually put value in that and they just purchase standing desks. I've never worked at a place that did that. I think they're pretty expensive. So, yeah, and it would cause them to have to, get rid of all their other furniture in the office or their desks in the office. I question that. I question it. However, yes, if someone is working at home and they don't have AC or air conditioning and it's the summertime, well, a company can't verify the employees are living or working in a healthy environment. They can't control that aspect, other than providing a stipend for people that work from home for their, internet connection, whatever. Yeah, you have that power when you're working from home to make sure your work environment is nice, which can be a good or a bad thing, right? If you're in an environment that's not good, let's say you're just getting out of school, you got to live with your parents, they don't live in a great place, or you live with a friend, they don't live in a great place, you have roommates, you're in New York, there's no AC, you're uncomfortable. That's stuff that you do have to consider. So I can understand that a little bit. Let me know what you think about that one. Definitely, when it comes to confidentiality, there are certain jobs that you're not going to be able to do at home, or there's certain things that you're going to have to do to ensure that you're the right person, that you're working on your computer, like all of that. Definitely, depending on where you're working, like if you're working in banking or you're working in, I don't know, cybersecurity maybe, or you're working with certain forms of data. Yeah, maybe. I do agree with that. You're working in HR too. Medical records, anything of that nature, you may have to take additional steps for security reasons, but I do feel like you can work from home with a lot of those jobs. Okay, opposites of right, physical perception of a brand. Okay, I have to read this one. Businesses can communicate their brand identity, values, and ethics through an office space as employees, clients, and visitors are able to physically experience their brand. This can also help in winning business and attracting talent, as what people feel when they walk into an office influences how an organization is perceived, which in turn impacts its success. I think this is one that I do agree with. I do. From the client perspective, to going into the office, to having recruiting events, to being able to kind of place this space. And this is why it's like a huge thing for someone that's, maybe a small business owner or they're an entrepreneur. They had a business in their home. They finally get to branch out. They have their podcast or something, they have their actual designated space. They have their business. They have this location that people can come to and interact with you and understand your business, understand your brand, all of that. I do agree. I will agree with that one. Let me see what you all think. Let's see. Thank you, King of Kill, for being in here and listening as you're driving to work. Jessica, you bring up a good point about training now in the 21st century. Since we have went to virtual training more than one-on-one, they need to do it like kindergarten or one step at a time. I agree. Yeah, there should be. Listen, you have to make sure people are following along, people are engaged, and it's really hard to do when you are remote. You're a trainer and you're remote, and if you're doing it all yourself, that's the other issue. Trainers should not just be training solely by themselves. They're doing longer than maybe 30 minutes to an hour training. Like, there should be people helping at some point, like tracking people that are joining, tracking the attendees, asking questions, noting questions that people may have. There should be like a Q&A. There should be different activities where you're going to need another person to help with maintaining that and driving it. And so, yes, there should be multiple people too. It shouldn't just be one trainer. I do love going to the office, meeting people, and being engaged, but that was pre-home commitment. And in the office, it's a great escape from home, double-edged sword. Definitely. And so, from the point of the CEO from Yelp that is saying, you need to do either one or the other, work remote or you need to be in the office. Like, what's the point of hybrid? I think it just provides more balance for people. Like, sometimes people are going to want to be in a workplace and be around people, or just get away from their home, right? And then other times they just want to be at home. They don't want to be around people. So I get it. It's a way to try to meet people where they are. Jess, I was referring to my former group manager who opened up a can of what? Wait, your group manager did a beat down on someone? A contract? Wow. Okay, I need to know more. I missed the conversation. I need to know more. Give me more detail. What in the world happened? First of all, I just feel like that's never okay. Like, it's getting physical. Like, unless they did something to, like, they actually did something to them, or like, I don't know. That just sounds very strange. In a workplace, right? That's interesting. You're not the standing desk type. No, not really. For me, I like to take walking breaks. Like, if I will go walk, and I do yoga, I stretch. I don't really focus on standing a lot. There are a few times where I will have like a counter in my kitchen. I'll go there and do some work just because I need to not be sitting. I might be feeling a little anxious or something, but normally And for me, I'm a recruiter, so a lot of my day is on the phone. And I'm tied to my computer. So yeah, I'm either sitting or I'm standing on occasion at my counter, but I don't do that very often. More so, I am taking a stretch break or I'm going to do a quick walk just to move because I don't like, ideally, I would not have a desk job actually. I actually would not. Ideally, I would be in some kind of job where I am standing and moving around and doing like that would be my ideal job. But recruiting it just isn't that. It isn't. So I don't even know what that would necessarily be other than training on site in person. But even training, a lot of the like depending on the role. When I was a trainer, most of my time was not standing up and talking to people and having the training, not a majority of it. Most of my time was planning for the training, um, building out communications for trainings, building curriculum, like designing, just detailing out things. I don't know. It just wasn't wasn't quite that. So I don't know. Maybe I would go back into that field again in the future. I think offices have value, but maybe make it a choice. When I had roommates, I would have preferred working out of the home because they were loud and my neighbors were also loud. Now that's rough. Yeah, you definitely want to be away from that. Onboarding remotely is like trying to catch hot air balloons. Okay. It's really tricky. And I think the younger generation thinks ghosting and sleeping during work is okay. They don't have urgency. Whoa, that's scary. Why do you feel that way, Laura? I I don't fully feel that way. I think every newer generation has to learn office culture and office etiquette and things. But I don't know if I would say that. I want to know more about what you're saying about the younger generation, kind of what they think. So Gen Z. Wait, yeah. All these generations, I was like, wait, did I get it right? Okay. So they're talking about offices promote professional development. In the office environment, employees experience a range of situations which is a vital part of their development. Having managers present in the room who they can go to for advice and ideas or seek support from if they were experiencing any issues speeds up their professional development, resolves problems more quickly, and ultimately benefits the business. If people don't feel like they can come to you, whether it's online, via phone call, whatever, that means you haven't formed a relationship with them. There are plenty of people that I've talked to in my career that when we were in the office that could not talk to their manager about tons of issues, did not feel comfortable talking with their manager. There were some issues where I remember a girl, I won't even say a person, just this person felt like their manager was sabotaging them. So I'll just leave it at that. Obviously no names, but yeah, there's so many different instances I've dealt with, been there to listen to someone. There's a lot of issues. Issues don't go away. It's not like professional development doesn't happen when you're working remotely. That doesn't make sense to me. I can't agree with that one. I think it does impact relationship building if everyone else is in the office and you're the only one working remotely. That's when I think it impacts your professional development because everyone else is on site, they're seeing people, but if we're saying everyone's in a hybrid work model where everyone's working remotely or most people are working remotely or whatever, it's a mix of people within the team working remotely, that I don't agree with. And it really depends on the office environment too. That's more so for an office that's like values coming in, you got to be here early, you got to stay late, you got to da-da-da. Like No, I don't really feel like just working remotely impacts your professional development in that sense, unless you're the only one and you're the only one not getting visibility. Because in that case, you need to find ways to get more visibility with your team, with your managers. Dynamic desks, the flexi office, multi-purpose spaces for working and relaxing, green initiatives, and offices that innovate were the last notes on here. The traditional desk is out, and new ways of working means a desk is now a more dynamic space. Hot desks will be the norm. Okay, interesting. So that was that article. The other one was this one. I'm just going to put it into the comments so you can look at it as you want to. But we are at 5 o'clock my time, so I'm going to close it out with some of the last comments from Sharky and Laura. But in terms of the benefits of working from home, you get better flexibility in your schedule. You can ditch the time-consuming commute. You can complete more work tasks and assignments. You can be more comfortable and cozy at home. Careful with that cozy part, don't go to sleep. You spend less money outside the house, which gets into the benefits of being in office. Other people get the value of you being in the office, but you get the benefit of being at home because you're spending less money, and so you can add that to your savings, right? They broke it down by commuting, clothes, food, childcare. Depends on the childcare. It really depends. You can choose where to live because you're not tied to a city or region, right? But sometimes your pay may be impacted by that, depending on what company you're working at and their policies around the location. You'll enjoy more creative control over your workplace or your workspace, and it puts you in charge of reducing your carbon footprint. Driving to work, less greenhouse gases, all that. And then remote work provides wider opportunities for diversity and inclusion. So thinking about people with disabilities, thinking about people that say, oh, we just can't find any Black men to work this job because they're just not here. They don't live in Omaha, Nebraska. Well, now you can hire people in Dallas. You can hire people in New York. You can hire people in Seattle. You can hire people in San Francisco. Okay, so last comments and we're going to shut it down. Sharky says, Jess, sorry, I didn't mean a literal beatdown. Oh my gosh, Sharky, I thought you were saying someone was like in the office throwing hands. I literally thought that. So you're referring to the manager who loudly publicly fired the contractor who was running a personal tax business. Yes, that's not okay. They were running a public tax, but wow. That's a shame. I'm not that old, haha. I just think the younger kids I've had to recruit are on board and did not have the basic organizational skills or punctuality. And I got ghosted by the under 30 crowd quite a bit. What? Okay. So I think some that are younger than me, like I think early 20s, yes. You do see some of that, and they're giving the rest of the folks a bad name. I do agree with that a little bit, just a little bit. But I don't agree that. I think once they've gotten a little bit of experience, it's better. Or for those that have worked during college or something or high school, they have a little bit more sense of office etiquette and things. But I get what you're saying. I do get what you're saying, especially when it comes to ghosting. Yes. All right. Well, thank you all for being here. It was a good conversation. I appreciate you being with me on this holiday weekend. Hopefully you get to celebrate the 4th, spend some time with family, friends, eat some good food, do some relaxing, hopefully do all good things. And next week, we're going to talk about 3 applications that you can use to help you find the best job offer or find the best companies to work at, and to get insight into companies before you interview, before you even apply, if you want to, and definitely before you accept a job offer. So we're going to talk about that. And following that, I don't know what our topics will be. Always, you can let me know what you'd like to hear me talk about. But I appreciate this conversation. Had a lot of fun with it. It was great to listen to some of the stories, hear your thoughts on some of this. And we'll continue talking about working from home versus hybrid work versus in office here and there. And with that, I'm going to close things out. Thank you, Edward, for being my lovely moderator. Thank you for all the members in the chat. Thank you for all my subscribers in the chat. And I will say goodbye. Bye, lovely people.